So, what topic do you think we're doing today?
Inoculate me. Hit me up.
So, have you heard of this quote? It starts with "All the world's a stage."
Shakespeare.
Yeah, I'm glad you know. So, essentially, the idea of Shakespeare's quote "All the world's a stage" is that we are all performers on it, acting out certain roles. Everything is just a performance, and that's essentially what our sociological topic today is. So,
Fantastic.
yes, we'll be looking through a dramaturgical lens today and with the theory of the looking glass self. So, the study of dramaturgy, which was pioneered by Goffman, proposes that just like a Shakespearean theatre, um, yeah, we are all on a theatre stage performing our roles to an audience. So, we in our everyday life perform our roles. So us as a student and our teachers to us. And yeah, we represent this audience in our mind as well. So it may not be a physical audience, such as to your classmates, but you also have an imagined audience that your classmates would take and react to you in your own mind, which is mind blowing, yes. But yeah, so each audience and each performance will require us to play different roles. So, for example, at home you play the role of a son. Maybe for some of you, a breadwinner, and for in school you would play the role of a student and a team member, perhaps.
I just said that I was a very bad student, and the only Shakespearean work that I know is A Midsummer Night's Dream.
No worries, everyone hates Shakespeare, and we all know it deep down. But yeah,
I think Macbeth rhymes with McDonald's, but only the first syllable.
All right, so yeah, so to perform a role, each audience and performance will we require a few steps. Yeah. So first, we must imagine how we appear to others. So how would you appear to your peers in school?
Right now, drunk. Sauced.
Most of the time you do appear quite drunk, so yeah. I mean, you don't have to act it up. You can just be. So that would be the first step.
Well, in the infamous words of Shakespeare, I believe you said all the world's a stage, so
Hey,
acting is perpetual.
perhaps it's an act as well. Who knows? Who is the real Edward? But anyways, the next step would be to imagine how these individuals in our audience that we imagine would react to our performance, and we adapt to how we imagine them reacting to us, which is 200 IQ. But yeah, that is the second step, and we all do this in our everyday lives without even a second thought. And the final step would be that we develop this identity, this persona that we portray over time, and these ideas of who we are portraying eventually become ourselves.
I'm the realest of the real, that's all I can say. So, I think I need an example. Can you use like an anime to describe this
Of
concept
course.
of dramaturgy?
So let us go back to Graham Liu.
All right. First, perhaps a drink.
A drink. So when in a new environment, we tend to be unable to imagine a role that we are supposed to perform. So let's say for the new freshmen that are entering uni, you wouldn't be too sure of what role a uni student is supposed to play, how you're supposed to act in class or even around your friends. Maybe you haven't stayed in hall before, so how are you supposed to act in hall parties where there's a lot of drinking going on and a lot of card games going on? So that is a very tough situation, and that's where we find our main character, Iori, to be in. So when he first stumbles upon the scenery of black sensor bars or black sensor circles, that's essentially what he felt. The inability to create an imagination of how he is supposed to portray himself and how he'll imagine the rest to react to him, because God knows that the sausage fest isn't gonna be something that you can react to on the fly. Yeah. But yeah, so from there, we can see that he tries to portray a certain image that he believes will be the best for him to fit into the society, which is his university life, which will be that of a good conservative student, not participating in the
Debauchery.
yeah, let's just put
Spicy.
it at that. So yeah, that is how he portrays himself. But whether or not that is his true self, is a question for the philosophers, which we will not go into. So after the first half of the episode, we see him get forced, albeit, into a drinking session with the seniors, where he gets, to put it mildly, shit-faced.
Okay.
Yeah, and after that, we can see that his character starts to break down. So, how we explain this is that this imagining and the adapting to our imagination actually takes up a lot of mental capacity. Like, you would not imagine it as something that would take up a lot of energy to do so, because we do it in our everyday lives. Like, we do not think for a second about how we portray ourselves to our classmates or how they would react to us. It comes to us naturally, but it actually does take up a lot of energy. And when you consume alcohol, it actually inhibits this ability, our mental faculties, and causes us to be unable to manage this imagining and reacting to the imagination. So it brings out a more natural, per se, side of us, where we just react to the situation without too much consideration of how we are perceived by our peers. So that's what happens in the second half, where he gets piss-faced and starts participating in the naked festivities of the PAV. Yeah. So after a while, you can see that he doesn't really give a shit about his portrayal of his role.
Conservatism, the
Yeah.
portrayal of such.
It is a portrayal, and he joins in the festivities. Yeah. Festivities. So, well, it might be a problem in many situations if we can't perform a role like we believe we should in a workplace or in public. We must also note that most of our performances of these roles also function as a barrier, preventing us from acting on our impulses when interacting with others. So let's say you're in class, and your imagination of the role of a student will be someone who is studious, attentive in class, and does not act out weirdly, however you might put it. And yeah, that would be how you imagine yourself as a student, or how would you imagine yourself in public?
Perhaps we could go back to the student part. So
Sure.
we say that there is a limitation based on the knowledge that you have when it comes to acting against the norm. So if, let's say, you were asked a question and you did not know the answer to the question, is it better to just quietly bow down, or do you make an attempt? Although in my case it would be a foolish attempt to try and answer the question for the sake of participation.
Hey, no worries. Smoking is a skill that is highly valued in my field, so I believe you would be very welcome here.
Three mental images popped to my head. All three of them are undesirable. I'm not too sure what you mean.
No.
Carry on.
No worries. So, yeah, in most situations, you would imagine that these portrayals of something other than what you imagine a student to portray would be undesirable. But alcohol changes things. It inhibits our ability to create this perception and to portray this perception, which brings out a more natural side to us. And since this portrayal of something that is imagined is something that is unnatural, however you may put it, this may be a problem when attempting to create meaningful and more intimate social ties with others. So if I were to portray myself as very professional with you, like, right, Edward, so today I'm a sociologist and you're a sports science student, how will we act this out? So in such cases, it would be very hard for us to create these intimate ties and social relations with others, and it might lead to a negative reaction from others, which would lead us to avoid engaging them more openly. So this is what happens when Iori enters on the PAB, enjoying their festivities initially, and he is tempted to distance himself from them. Yeah, but by the power of alcohol, or at least with a sufficient amount of it,
Yes.
he can break down these ties. Break down these barriers, not ties, and tear down the facades that we put up, and allow us to know each other better.
So the magical effect of alcohol is social lubricant.
Yes, that is the whole point that I'm trying to make here. Well, of course, there is a caveat that we should drink responsibly, since too much inhibition of our mental faculties might result in us doing things that might cross the line. So at least when there are individuals that may be uncomfortable with these actions, just put it that way. So
Example.
Yeah, don't go full AOT Titan on your friends. I don't think they would appreciate that much.
Yes, and black sensor circles do not actually exist in real life.
Unfortunately. But yeah, that sums up my sociological take on Grand Blue.
Fantastic.